Hey y'all, this is J. Scott Coatsworth. I am going to be reading to you from a story called Rise that's in a new anthology we're releasing at Other Worlds Inc., our publisher, called Fix the World. And this is 12 writers save the future, 12 sci-fi writers save the future. It's ideas for a more hopeful future to solve some of the problems that we're facing now. Rise, my story is about raising a drowned city. So I'm going to start right in the middle of it, and basically there's an older woman named Chinzia and her granddaughter Kendra, and they are on this floating platform watching this event about to happen. So here it goes. What's going to happen? Kendra's eyes darted back and forth, from person to person, and up to the skyboard and back. She was squirming in Chinzia's arms, so she put the little girl back down. A miracle. They discussed this the night before, but Kendra had a notoriously short attention span. Just wait, we're almost there. Chinzia grasped the railing again with her free hand and closed her eyes, remembering how her own mother had led her through the city streets. Mama waved at the shop owners as they met along the way. Marco, did you get those new shoes in yet? Paolo, I'll be by later to pick up some steak. Elena, I'll stop by your shop tonight. I made some limoncello for you. And always the return calls of, Certo, Signora Rosso. Everyone knew Mama. And now, across the city, the injectors are about to do their work. Chinzia opened her eyes in time to see the Prime Minister step aside to allow their Minister of Reclamation Services, Francesca Horvat, to speak. For 20 years we have planned for this day. In the background, divers swam through the lagoon, checking equipment and removing debris. Advances in regenerative biology have made possible what we do today, but we've had years of work to stabilize the most important buildings and to prepare the city first. Our workhorses, the genetically modified coral polyps that will do the lifting, have been time limited. Chinzia tore her gaze away from the skyboard to look out at the water. Its placid surface belied what lay below, outlines barely visible through the rippling green waters. I grew up there. She pointed at the lagoon. Kendra followed her gaze. Underwater? Chinzia laughed. No, it was a different place back then, totally above water, except when the seasonal floods had come with increasing frequency and fury every year. Dr. Horvat had gone silent. Chinzia glanced at the skyboard. Both Doctor and Prime Minister were staring ahead intently. There was a deep, thumping sound, and the world below rumbled and purred like a stirring dragon. The seawater bubbled, obscuring the view. It's beginning. Chinzia leaned forward to watch. You lived here? The young man next to her, with dark hair and 2 curling rows of effervescent tattoos across his face, was about her daughter's age, maybe 40? Youth was such a relative term anymore. Chinzia nodded. In the Cannaregio, in the northwestern edge. Such a beautiful place. She closed her eyes, seeing it as if the intervening 60 years didn't exist. Mama used to take me to Piazza San Marco for lunch. We'd get a pastry and find a spot at the edge of the piazza to watch the tourists go by, faces buried in their screens. You were so lucky to see it back then. The man grinned. I'm Gio. Chinzia. And maybe so. She bit her lip. He didn't know the half of it. She'd lost her mother in the Great Flood and the city evacuation thereafter. Where are you from? Forlì. Both my grandparents were from here. She nodded. I've been living in Imola with my granddaughter. I wish I'd seen it in its prime, before the flood. The rumbling beneath her feet suddenly increased in tenor. She set a hand on its shoulder. I think it's about to happen. The world went silent, save for the grumbling of the earth. All eyes were on the lagoon below. Chinzia took a deep breath, reaching up almost unconsciously to touch the breathing mask on her face. Kendra peered over the railing. What's happening? The waters were stirring. Something was churning in the depths. The new shoreline, established with seawalls after the flood, was almost 10 kilometers away. The domain of the Mediterranean had vastly expanded since she had been a little girl, like Kendra. Little creatures are building new shells under the old city, billions and billions of them. The girl peered over the edge as if she could see those tiny polyps. Chinzia smiled, remembering how new the world had been when she had been little. Hard to believe the big day was finally here. The government had been planning this for decades. She'd seen the little genetically engineered creatures that would convert salt and seawater to cement in a grand, magical alchemy. She understood almost none of it. This world was as different from hers as that time had been from the 1950s when her own grandmother was a child. But Chinzi had chosen to believe in this grand project. Her hand sketched out the sign of the cross on her chest as she said a prayer for the dearly departed. Look, Gio pointed at the lagoon. There was a dark spot just below the surface. Chinzia held her breath. Look, Mama. Her hands stretched out like a scarecrow, but the pigeons weren't scared of her. They perched on her arms. Mama laughed. Come on, let's get a merenda. Want some gelato? The rumbling increased to a roar, and more dark patches appeared in the green lagoon waters. So expensive, so laborious to stabilize what was left, but every bit worth it in this moment. A great spume of water sprayed high enough to throw a shimmer of mist across her face as the first part of the old city broke the surface. As the spume cleared, the top of the Campanile di San Marco rose above the water, green roof gleaming like new. A nice touch. The Restoration Guild must have worked overtime on that one. Its golden weather vane was gone, but the bas-relief of the lion of St. Mark made her clutch her heart. So that's it for now. This is, again, Fix the World. It's coming out on Saturday the 10th, right now a couple days from now. So grab your copy or pre-order your copy, and I hope you enjoyed it. It's really 12 amazing stories, and we're very proud of it. Thanks.